Red lights now go on. And they go out, and the race gets underway. It's a good start from Ben Short there from pole position. It looks like he's going to have the lead as they head into Oulton corner for the first time. Matt Hallam is there in second. It looks like Ian Tomlinson has got his nose in front of Jordan Johnson there. There's a couple of cars off wide. One of them was Scott Leach. Another of them might have been Samuel Gormer as well, as they head off down towards Cascades for the first one. It is Ben Shaw in the lead, and it's side by side for second place as they go through Cascades. On the inside for Cascades, it was Ian Tomlinson. On the outside, it was the man from the front row, Matt Hallam. Those two still side by side as they head down towards the Island Bend and then Shallows Corner for the first time. And it's Johnson, actually, Jordan Johnson, who's managed to now get ahead of Tomlinson and get alongside Matt Hallam as well as they head down to the hairpin for the first time. But all of this is allowing Ben Short just to make a little bit of a break, Johnny.
Briefly, it might have been three abreast, down towards Island Bend itself, because Jordan Johnson said there's room for another MX-5 on the inside of these two red cars, and now he'll get second place back again ahead of Matthew Hallam at the Britain chicane. So Ian Tomlinson will be thinking, I had a killer getaway there. I think I was briefly second at Cascades, and now shunting back to fourth precisely where he started. But as those three squabble, and in fact, is that Oak Richardson getting involved as well in the blue car to third, maybe? Yes. He has a bit of a lean, but he got through. I think there was a touch because there is now a scar on that front left wing of the 44 of Matthew Hallam, unless it was there from at the start of the race. But all of this is allowing Ben Short to disappear up the road on lap one. And
Matt Hallam's rear bumper has been dislodged. There's a bit of daylight there between the bumper and the rear of the car, so that indicates that he's had a touch from behind from somewhere. He's dropped down to fourth position. He's got a tyre mark on the left-hand side of the car as well, so a few battle scars for Matt Hallam. Short it is, though, that leads as they come towards the end of lap one. Jordan Johnson second, Richardson third, Matt Hallam fourth. In fifth place, it looks like it's the number 9 car of Ian Tomlinson. And completing the top 6, I think possibly that is Samuel Gormer. We'll get a rundown on the order as they come through at the end of the first lap. There they go, streaming across the line. It was Samuel Gormer, up 2 places on the opening lap in 6th position, which suggests it wasn't him that went off at Oulton on the opening corner of the race.
Still, inseparable are the two red cars, with Matt Hallam ahead of Ian Tomlinson, but also getting sucked along in this battle is Michael Pearce, the car that you pointed out on the release lap, which is the easy one to pick out in the bright green. Richardson then in third, behind the primer grey of Jordan Johnson, but none of these cars able to keep pace with Ben Short, who at the end of the first lap had a gap of 1.6 seconds. It's probably double that now, as the cars, all of them for second place, 6 or 7 of them now in one long line, just drop a wheel onto the curb at Island. Good exit coming out of Shell Oils for Jordan Johnson as he tries to fend off Oak Richardson behind in the blue car.
Yep, down towards Britons they go for the second time in this race. It's probably going to be an 8-lap race. They might just about squeeze 8 laps out of this 15-minute duration that they have. Ben Short it is, though, dropping down from Hilltop towards Hislops for the second time then, with a clear advantage over Johnson. He just lock up there, but I don't think loses too much time. Johnson, Richardson, and then Hallam filling the next 3 positions as they make their way through Hislops and now through the right-hander Nickerbrook and off up Clay Hill. Ian Thompson, a few car lengths back from Hallam, is in 4th, and then Gorman's got Pearce and Scott Leach behind him. A fine battle there going on for 6th, 7th and 8th position. Wouldn't surprise me if there was a change among that trio before very much longer. They head through Druids now for the second time and off back up towards Lodge Corner.
These are the championship top 3, and in the correct order, with Ben Short leading Jordan Johnson and Oak Richardson, both in the championship standings and on the road. As now Pearce to the inside, there's a touch there as well to the rear of Sam Gormer's car, and they're going to be right together as they head across the line. So this is for 6th, 7th and 8th places, and actually Scott Leach judged to be marginally ahead, or he's totally ahead of Michael Pearce now as they head into the first corner at Old Hall and out the other side. But there's a bit of pushing coming out of that corner, saying to Gormer, hurry things up a little bit because we're losing touch on the quartet ahead.
Down towards them, the Cascades they go, and a little bit unsettled there with Sam Gormer at the head of that group. Does that mean that he loses a bit of momentum and allows Scott Leach to try and get ahead on the run down towards Ireland. Possibly not too much, actually, but we'll get a view on that. Oh, he has certainly got right onto the back of Gormer there. He's dropped Michael Pearce a little bit, and Pearce has Adrian Johnson and Martin Vernon now bearing down on him as well. That leading sort of quartet or quintet goes through. Then this now near 5-car battle for 6th position is now headed by Scott Leach. So he has made it through Ireland and Shallow's Corner. So the very experienced Scott Leach, the driver from Warwickshire, is now up into 6th position. But he must now be about 3 seconds, I would think, behind the group of cars in front.
And that gap, I'm sure Scott Leach is licking his lips just as the car is doing over Hilltop there, because he's now got ahead of those two, but they're not going to give him any peace and quiet heading into Knickerbrook for the 3rd time. But the 13 car, blue and yellow, does look slightly faster than Sam Gormer and Michael Pearce in this phase. And then there's a second and a half back to Adrian Johnson in 9th position. There in blissful isolation is Ben Short. And, well, maybe the gap came 2.2, so it extended on the previous lap. I'm just wondering whether that's starting to stabilise now. Ben Short not needing to push a great deal more and risk throwing the car at the scenery. He can probably manage that gap now of just over a couple of seconds. Back to Jordan Johnson. But Johnson threatening to edge away from Oak Richardson as well and stabilise himself in 2nd position.
Yeah, Ben Short's just come across the line to complete lap 3 and he's done the best lap of the race at 2:06.084. Interesting, that's a couple of seconds outside his own lap record, but they are on different tyres than they would have been 2 years ago, and that always does have a bearing on things because different tyres offer different grip levels. Some are more durable than others, and so you can't always compare lap times from one season to the next when you have had those tyre changes. So Short now leading by 2.6 seconds, so it went out by another 0.4 that lap. Richardson 3rd is half a second behind Jordan Johnson, and then Hallam and Tomlinson. Well, Tomlinson has been dropped a little bit now, I would say, and Leach has started to make a break from the next group of cars, I think, Johnny.
Yeah, so are they going to meet in the middle will be the question, as Tomlinson just hasn't quite got the speed of the Johnson, Richardson and Hallam freight train. Leach certainly making a break for freedom from the two behind him, as more cars pour their way out of Shell Oils on the 4th lap now. Still a good tussle for 9th and 10th. We're catching a glimpse of now and again between Adrian Johnson and Martin Vernon. They're desperate.
In fact, it's Michael Pearson that's now dropped behind Adrian Johnson as well.
Oh, beg your pardon, right, yes. So Johnson's got the better run. Was that a mistake from Pearson then? Because he was right with Gormer, and now there's a bigger gap. You're right.
That bumper's not, fallen off the back of Matt Hallam's car anymore, which he'll be relieved about. I don't think he's had any kind of signal from the officials that he might need to go into pits. I can see a driving standards flag being prepared though for car number 90. That's for Andrew Robinson. I expect that will be because he's been spotted breaching track limits on one too many occasions. He's got to watch his step now to make sure he doesn't do it again and start picking up penalties. But here's the fight for 2nd, coming into Lodge Corner. Jordan Johnson, Oak Richardson, Matt Hallam. You could throw a pocket handkerchief over the 3 of them, and it's a really good fight, this, but it's not for the victory. They were letting Ben Short get away to what would be his 13th win of the season. He's just come through to complete lap 4 and the 6.5 minutes of the race left to go.
Interested again in the gap between Tomlinson and Leach for 5th and 6th. It's under a second now, 0.9 as they cross the line. So Ian Tomlinson waving goodbye to the trio as they head down into Cascades ahead of him. And the pressure is definitely on from Scott Leach, who's just set the fastest lap of the race as well. So 0.9 is the gap. I thought Jordan Johnson was actually able to pull away from these two, but that is not the case. Just a half a lap later, I realised quite how close Oak Richardson was. And there they are, with Hallam still very much in attendance. And then the Leach and Tomlinson scrap just creeping through shot there. That was the red car of Ian Tomlinson.
A bit further back, off camera but out of our commentary box window, Michael Pearce, I could see, got back ahead of Adrian Johnson into Oulton Corner that time. It was a tight move, but it seemed to work out for him. We'll perhaps pick up on that battle again in a moment. But yeah, you're in the background there. Scott Leach right with Ian Tomlinson now, so possibly pick up on what will be the fight for 5th position in a moment. At the moment, we're looking at those 2nd, 3rd and 4th place cars heading up over Hilltop for the 5th time in this race, with just over 5 minutes of the race left to go. Ben Short well on his way to the championship. Here comes Scott Leach, though. He's going to make a move down into Hislops for 5th position, and he's through. His first attempt there. So Scott Leach is absolutely on fire in this race. He's taken a lot of time out of Ian Tomlinson. He's got ahead at the first attempt into Hislops. And now, can he do anything about the next group of 3 cars ahead of him?
His car is clearly right in the sweet spot because he's easily the fastest car of any of those ahead of him. The question is, how many more spaces or at least real estate can he make up in the 4.5 minutes plus the change that we may have waiting for the race leader? And clearly Ian Tomlinson's not going to take this lying down because he's sticking with Scott Leach as they head out of Druids and into the braking area for Lodge. But the blue and yellow Mazda licking its lips as it heads out of the final corner and back across the grid hatchings. And now it's Oak Richardson's turn to be soaking up pressure from Matt Hallam, who's maybe pushing for one final time to go for the podium.
Yeah, so they've gone across the line with just over 4 minutes to go. So I think it's probably going to be 2 more laps, including the one that they're on. So probably a 7-lap race, I would think, is what we're actually going to get out of this today, with the cars moving on to their 6th lap of the race now. So you've got Johnson just breaking away ever so slightly now from Richardson and Hallam. There's Leach, who's now pulled out a few car lengths over Ian Tomlinson as well, who has had the warning flag for track limits as well. So he's just got to mind his step. He can't push too hard in his efforts to get back ahead of Scott Leach there. So really this is the fight for 3rd, the final podium position now between Oak Richardson, number 17, the Garden Centre director, and Matt Hallam, winner at Silverstone last time out, former Castle Coombe Formula Ford race, but it's getting a little bit hairy, and it looks like Richardson's feeling the pressure.
Yeah, it wasn't a clean exit out of Britain, so I just wonder now whether Oak Richardson won't be able to do much about this. He stuck to the inside line. There's another directional change as well, as he saw the red car of Matt Hallam faint to the left. That was just about allowed, I would have said, heading into Knickerbrook in terms of defensive moves. But Oak knew he'd either caught too much curb or slightly out of trajectory through the first bit of Britain's, then throws you completely off through element 2 and 3. And he was no doubt about it on the back foot, but he actually controlled things well. And Matthew Hallam had one opportunity to slip up the inside, but the door was firmly slammed in his face. Actually, all things considered, Richardson's not lost a great deal of time to Jordan Johnson in the grey number 1 car. Still, Scott Leach in the background continues to make this break. He hasn't set a fastest lap again because the last lap around was a 2:07. So that's maybe the issue for Scott right now. It's consistency rather than outright pace. We now have a new fastest lap, in fact, and funnily enough, it's from that guy who currently leads the championship, and surely he's going to seal it.
I think he certainly is. We've got a 5-second penalty now for Andrew Robinson in number 90. He's running in 19th position anyway. But I did notice that when Ben Short crossed the line, there was 2 minutes 15 to go. A lap's taking 2 minutes 5, 2 minutes 6, so we might just squeeze another lap at the end of this one. So it might be an 8-lap race. It was touch and go, so we'll just have to see whether we get the checker flag this time or not at the end of this one. But Jordan Johnson, as he's in 2nd place at the moment, probably wouldn't mind too much if the checker flag did come out this time around, because it would potentially prevent a further attack from Richardson or Hallam. It looks like Scott Leach isn't quite going to be able to bridge the gap to Matt Hallam. He is about 4 seconds behind at the moment, so I don't think he's quite going to be in contention for a top 4 position come the end of this race, Scott Leach. As they turn their way now towards Britain's, these cars in 2nd, 3rd and 4th positions. These little Lotus Elan inspired Mark 1 MX-5s. There's a yellow flag there at Hilltop, so there's either someone gone off or parked their car possibly down at Hislops at this part of the circuit. We'll see if we can spot anything as the cars come through here. Of course, it means there's no overtaking until they pass the green flag. But yeah, couldn't see any sign of any instance. I think they're probably back into green flag racing again. 36 seconds of the timed element of the race to go. Question is Ben Short going to get to the finish line in time to get one more lap? Well, it looks like they're preparing another driving standards flag at the moment, including for Matt Hallam now, as well as Nico Favreau and for Martin Vernon as well.
Cars that haven't yet completed 6 laps, it's the 28 car. It is only the 28 car, which is Peter Brown, so that might be the reason why the yellows are out at Hilltop. But green before Knickerbrook, or also covering Knickerbrook?
Last lap board being shown as well.
And just with 4 seconds on the clock. See, if Ben Short hadn't been posting all those fastest laps, or he started the race with the fastest lap and then improved upon it again. If he'd gone slightly slower, he might have been able to seal it after 7 laps, but that's not part of his racing pedigree, I'm sure. 3 cars absolutely together. They're going to make it 3 abreast, in fact, crossing the line.
And that's Amy Worthington in the yellow car that might get ahead of Martin Vernon and Samuel Gorman up into 8th position there. Can she do it in the yellow car? No, she can't. It's side by side between Vernon and Gorman, and it's a great little scrap this going on to its final lap.
Yeah, with Pierce just heading down into Cascades ahead. So Pierce is 7th. Vernon got ahead of Gorman for 8th position, and Worthington, as you say, almost... Oh, but a mistake then. A mistake at Cascades from the Vernon car, which will give the position back again to Sam Gorman. And Amy will get there, at least one of those places she was aiming for at Old Hall. So Amy Worthington up to 9th place now.
Yeah, ex-Stock Catch racer Amy Worthington had a good season here in the Massimo Tyres 5 Club MX-5 Cup. So that was a good battle towards the back end of the top 10. Just cars making their way out of Shell Oil's corner now. We've got the battle for second making its way through Hislops and Knickerbrook for the final time, but it looks like that's settling it. Also looks like Ben Short's into the traffic as well.
Yeah, so that's going to be the 63 car, I would think, of Stuart Dowson, assuming his car is also white. It is.
Yes, it is.
Yep, so 1 car now being lapped, and he's just enjoying himself now, isn't he? He knows he's on the way to a 2024 title. Ben Short and got that comfortable margin of basically 4 seconds, so gave it a bit of extra throttle at Druids. Touched the grass at the braking point. This is still very risky stuff from Ben.
Oh, look how sideways he's got it there. Fantastic stuff from Ben Short. He's not thrown it off though. All very controlled and planned, and he comes through, takes the checker flag, he wins the race, and he wins the Massimo Tyres 5 Club MX-5 Cup title for 2024 as well. Gap down and surprisingly on the last lap to 2.7 seconds from Jordan Johnson, Oak Richardson and Matt Hallam in 4th. Scott Leach 5th, Ian Tomlinson 6th, but still this going on at Lodge Corner.
Sam Gorman's got back ahead of Martin Vernon after Martin's mistake on the exit of Cascades, but these two are now ahead again of Amy Worthington, and it's still not quite done yet. Are they going to be chevron formation across the line? They tried it, but the 128 car right in the middle will finish ahead of the other two. So Sam Gorman 8th, Martin Vernon 9th, and Amy Worthington kicking herself perhaps because there was a chance to improve on 10th place, but that's where she finishes in the end.
Just looking at the time screen, I can see Matthew Short, Ben's father, has not come through. He's dropping down the time screen. Is this him now? Looks like it. Yes, he is, but he lost quite a few places on that last lap. He was 17 seconds slower on that lap than he had been earlier in the race. So I suspect Matthew Short has had a spin somewhere out on circuit. So Ben Short's going to have won the championship. That's going to have just really given Jordan Johnson a little bit more of an edge over Oak Richardson in the sort of race for second in the championship. On drop scores coming into this weekend, there was 5 points between them and another 10 points back to Ian Tomlinson, and that will have just slightly extended that gap now, but still very much the race on for second place in the championship with now 3 races to go, 1 later on today here at Oulton Park and also 2 more at Donington Park in October. So the cars heading around on their slowing down lap now, the marshals showing their appreciation and the drivers reciprocating that gratitude as well at the end of a very good race for the Massimo Tyres 5 Club Racing MX-5 Cup, which has been a fantastic way to open up the day's 11 races here at Oulton Park. Ben Short it was that was taking the win at the end of 8 laps in the number 71 car, and he finished 2.7 seconds ahead of number 1 Jordan Johnson in second place. Third place was number 17, that was Oak Richardson. 4th to number 44 Matt Hallam. 5th was number 13 Scott Leach ahead of number 9 Ian Tomlinson. He's dropped a little bit further back in that battle for top or second position of the championship. Then it was Michael Pearce 7th, Samuel Gorman 8th, Martin Vernon 9th, and Amy Worthington rounding out the top 10 ahead of Jack Lawrence, Nico Favo, Adrian Johnson. He fell back out of that top 10 battle, didn't he, as the race went on, and Scott Lawrence was 14th. Further back, we can see that it was Martina Ward and Mary Barnard 15th and 16th, ahead of Stephen Robinson, Matthew Short, who dropped back on the final lap, losing several places. Andrew Robinson picked up a penalty, but he was 19th, and Alex Quash-T was in 20th position, ahead of Neil Burrows, Andrew Beale, Paul Barnard, Philip Barrett, Stuart Dowson, the last of the finishers, and we lost Peter Brown a couple of laps or so from the end of that race. So I can see from our commentary position that cars are now heading into Parc Fermé. Hopefully we'll therefore be able to hear from our top 3 drivers in a few moments' time. There's still 3 more races to come before the lunch break though here at Oulton Park, with next up the Sports 1000s. But let's head down to Kieran Mogg. He's down there in Parc Fermé ready to talk to the drivers.
Thank you very much, guys. What a fantastic race to start off this day. And we've started off with a championship win as well. He has just continued exactly like he has been driving all season long. Mr. Ben Short is just going to congratulate his fellow drivers, his fellow racers. What a fantastic finish there, Ben. Championship win at the end there. Got to feel good.
Yeah, definitely. Love Oulton Park. It's got undulations, it's twisty, it's a long way from home, but yeah, brilliant circuit. So yeah, really enjoy racing here.
And it definitely takes the edge off, definitely takes the stress out of it for the race later as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think we just sort of need to enjoy the last couple of meetings really, and I think that's probably the championship zone up. So yeah, and it's just a great circuit. Love the track.
Definitely. And obviously you had a bit of a gap as well between you and the guys behind you as well. Were you managing that gap, or were you just going full throttle?
So a little bit of both really. I felt our performance in qualifying wasn't quite right. The lads at BS Motorsport have had a little bit of a tweak with the car, and it feels loads better. So I want it to be nice and solidly in the 205s, which we did there. So that's more the pace we should be running. So yeah, sort of look after the tyre a bit, then try and put a lap in, and yeah, it was just really good fun.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on, I think it is the championship win, so congratulations.
I think so. We'll have to do the numbers, but yeah, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Right, we're going to speak to second place Jordan Johnson. Jordan, that was one heck of a finish there.
Yeah, I made it hard for myself, really. I couldn't really shake Oak and Matt off, and I thought if they get together, I'm going to be in trouble here. I'd have been a sitting duck. But yeah, I managed to hold on in the end, which was good.
Absolutely. You had a bit of a gap as well to Bennett at front. Obviously, for the race later on, is there anything you got in the back of the bag that you might be able to take the fight to him?
Well, we'll see what the conditions are first. It could possibly be a bit wet, and see what the reverse grid is, because that always throws up a few surprises. So yeah, hopefully we can be a bit closer to Ben and have a go at him later.
Absolutely. Well, good luck for the race later on then.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you. I'm going to speak with Oak as well. Oak Richardson, third place, just speaking as well about that finish as well. So close at the end there. What a battle right to the end of the line. How was it?
Yeah, it was good. Myself and Jordan and Matt, we kind of had a good race. I made it hard for myself where I qualified, and I should have been where Matt was really, but he got a good slipstream in qualifying, but fair play to him, he still qualified second. And yeah, I just made it hard for myself, and so the first couple of laps was just getting past, well the first lap or two was getting past Mike and Ian and Matt, and then when I was past them, Ben was too far gone. He was probably 2 or 3 seconds down the road. He didn't disappear, stayed there, but me and Jordan were running the same lap times and couldn't quite get past him. He couldn't get away, couldn't quite get past, and that was that. And we just ran around and around, really. Yeah.
Well, you've got another race obviously to battle it out later on as well. Now, there is a slight chance of rain later on. How are you in the wet?
I love it in the wet. I love it in the wet. Most of my very few wins have come in the wet, so I enjoy it.
So you're hoping for rain then?
Yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be a bit chaotic if he pulls a high number for the reverse grid, but we'll see. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Absolutely. Well, if you look in the paddock and you see a dancing person doing it, the Rain Man, then yeah, don't be surprised. Well, congratulations on your third place and good luck for the race later.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you. Now head up to the commentary box. I believe it's Sports 1000 coming up next.